Hi, welcome to the TOWTalk Podcast. My name is Denise, and I'm here with my co host, Neil. And this segment, we're going to discuss some local news regarding the town of Hudson here in the Hudson Valley of New York. And this is regarding the mayor. The new incoming mayor's transition has been delayed. Hudson's outgoing mayor has not yet met with the mayor elect more than a month after the election, raising concerns about administrative continuity ahead of the leadership change. This is being reported in the Times Union. So this kind of ties into some stuff that also seems to happen locally because with the old administrations not wanting to speak to the new administration. So what is up with this, Neil? Why does this seem? Why do you
It's
think this happens?
it's quite common. It's actually very common. It's more common than most people think from a perspective of, you have a new administration coming in, you have an old administration going out, and, people don't fucking care. It's really what it comes down to. People just don't care, right? I mean, this is local government, right? Like, you're not talking about national politics, you're not talking about state politics. Unfortunately, most people believe, right, that the employees do the work, right? So that the idea is that the elected officials don't really do anything anyway, right? I mean, most people have the idea elected officials don't do anything anyway. All they're there is to collect a paycheck and move along, right? I mean,
Yeah.
think of it this way: the budget's already done for next year. Most everything's already done for the following year. It really comes down to reorg, right? Who's going to be your attorneys, who's going to be your auditors for the year, who's going to be this. Now, there has to be some work put into that. I don't know if the new administration is looking into that or not, but that's not really an outgoing administrative thing anyway,
Okay.
right? So it really comes down to the new administration making sure that they have all their I's dotted and T's crossed, because they have about 8 days into the new year to make those decisions. So
Okay.
you have to do reorg within the first 8 days of the new year. Reorganization is when you appoint all your professionals, and you basically say, this is how we're conducting business, these are the salaries of our elected officials. This is, it's really just setting everything up for the new year.
Yeah, you would think though that for the benefit of the community, the old administration would want to interface with the new administration to make it better. It's like it's just the backbiting is out of control
But
between, especially,
yeah,
you
but
know what I'm
we
saying?
see this. We see this,
It's
there's
catty.
so there's a lot of cattiness, there's a lot of pettiness, and what we see is most local officials don't really know what the hell's going on anyway, and even if they did, I mean, what difference is it really gonna make? You
Right.
know? I mean,
Right.
you might need to know about lawsuits that are outstanding, to help there. And
Yeah.
there might
Or
be some key personnel things that you wanna talk about, but at the end of the day, I mean, I where it really becomes more critical, right, not necessarily from the executive position, would be like if you were replacing your town clerk, or your
okay.
village clerk, right? Then you're talking, like, I mean, the amount of work that the clerk does in any municipality
Yeah.
is like, they have certain statutory requirements, they have certain things that they have to do on a given month, right? Like, just as an example, they collect money, right? Because they issue
They do.
licenses, they do all your birth certificates, all your death certificates. Like, there's a lot of stuff that they do, and they also have a big giant vault, right,
Of
they're in
money.
charge of, right? That has, like, has a lot of records in it, you know? And, there was this is a funny story, or not so funny story. There one of the clerk positions changed over a number of years ago in Orange County. I can't remember the location. I wanna say it was, over towards the Newburgh area,
Okay.
right? And not to say it's Newburgh, but it was the Newburgh area, so it was over that side of Orange County, where the town clerk was replaced. And the outgoing town clerk literally took the key to the vault. Right.
I
I
think you
mean,
told me this.
you want to talk about pettiness. That was pretty petty. Like the person came in and they didn't even have the key to the vault. They didn't have they didn't know anything. There was no transition at all.
Up with
Right.
people. And come on, this is petty
You know,
stuff.
at least if you're a mayor or a supervisor, you're in an executive position, there are attorneys who can guide you through the process, right?
Right.
Okay, go find out this, and then you could talk to different employees. But in the clerk in that situation of the clerk, all the deputy clerks quit because they're appointed, so they all quit. So it was literally like this person showed up day one with no idea what to do. You know?
Pretty funny. Poor thing.
Yeah,
Bringing
it
this
was
back
pretty devastating.
to the town, has there been any, do you know of any interface between Frank and
I
George?
know that
Just
I believe that there were a couple of meetings or one meeting. I
that's
don't
good.
I understand that there was a meeting. They haven't fought too much with the transition, which is good. Good news. I would throw this out there. I remember the last time that Frank was transitioning to supervisor, and there were instructions to the town employees by the outgoing administration not to do their job, for employees not to do their job, in particular in the accounting department. Okay.
Wow.
I have emails. And these were conversations that occurred. So, Frank gets in and he says, I want to do X, Y, and Z. Right. And the law says that he can do that. The law says that he can have that information, or that he can make that purchase if it's budgeted for and all that kind of stuff. Right. And the comptroller would say, no, 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 you can't do this. We have a policy in place. Right. And then I would chime in and I would say, okay, show me the policy. Okay, well, it's not written. It was a board approved policy. Okay, well, if it's a board approved policy, show me the minutes. There are no minutes. Okay, well, it wasn't the board, it was a previous supervisor. So a previous supervisor instructed you to not do your job, right, the way you're supposed to be doing it. Okay, and the new supervisor comes in and gives you instructions, and you're going to tell him no because a previous supervisor told you to do something different.
Yeah, that's time to fire.
Well, and that's where we kind of got to was, and that's how the whole harassment thing came up one of the harassment came up in the first place, was that previous supervisors had instructed her not to do her job, right? And to not provide certain information and to do certain things, okay? And I have emails that all document this, right? I showed them here on a previous podcast.
Yes, you did.
All right. And it became an argument, and it was like literally almost every conversation resulted in the exact same result. It was no, okay, show me the policy. There is no policy, right? Like, it was this round robin of nonsense. Okay. Now, all I can say is I've heard rumors that the outgoing Supervisor Serrano, has given similar instructions to employees, right, to not do their job. Okay.
This is
And
now you're talking.
this is now. Yep. This is not, obviously that woman's not there, but there are other employees there now. And, to not do their job. And it's setting up the same nonsense. And here's what I'm going to tell you. Unless there's a policy telling you not to do something or to do something, right, you have to listen to the new supervisor. The fact is that you get paid to do a job. And I've always
Yeah.
said this. You get paid to do a job. You don't get paid to
Yes.
play politics just because we're a government building, okay? You're an employee. You do your job, right? I don't care who comes and asks me for financial information when I'm at my job, right? I don't play internal politics like that. You come and ask me for information, I give it to you. End of story. You can't tell me how to do my job if you're a councilman. Only the supervisor can direct you on how to do your on ways to do your job. Now, if that violates policy, or if it violates the law, then you need to bring it to the board, right?
Yeah.
And I would absolutely 100%
That's
do
what's
that.
supposed to happen.
That's what's supposed to happen, right? But this idea that that, oh, these fuckers, right, like, are sitting there, like, and I call them that because these people, like, I'm sorry, if the supervisor gives you an instruction not to do your job, then you need to bring that to the town board because the entire board is expecting you to do your job. So if you're not doing your job, and all of a sudden a board member says, hey, listen, I need this information, and this is information that's in line with your job, and you're not providing that information, and you're saying the supervisor told me not to do my job. Well, my feeling is if that's the way you are going to act and that's the way you're going to be, then you shouldn't have that job anymore.
Correct.
Right?
Yep.
Because now you've violated your employment agreement.
Yeah.
Because now you're
You
failing
have
to do your job.
You're supposed to be nonpartisan. You're not supposed to be picking sides, and certainly not taking direction from an outgoing supervisor whose direction you're going to be continuing to follow after he's gone and the new administration is in, the new supervisor's in.
Right. And that's what exactly happened. I mean, we saw that. We even had the old supervisor come in to defend, right, the comptroller in the investigation, saying, "Oh yeah, I told her that." Like that's just a load of crap. It sets up a disenfranchisement of the voters. The voters have elected one person to lead your community. There shouldn't be conflicts because previous supervisors don't want their shit aired, right?
Yeah.
Like they don't want whatever illegal shit that they've told them to do, they don't want that caught because then they get caught up in that. I'm sorry, if somebody's told you to do something in violation of the law, if there is no board approval for something or whatever it may be, right? You have a job to do. That means you're failing to do your job. And I don't care. These people are leaving.
Yeah.
Okay? So they're going out the door, right? So if you are getting caught up as an employee in their criminal activity as they're walking out the door, or alleged criminal activity as they're walking out the door, right? Well, then you're going to face the
Y-
consequences just like they are.
Think about that. So, yeah. So ultimately, it is the taxpayer that winds up getting harmed because it
Yes.
stops the progress of getting shit done that you need
Yes.
to get done because you've got this sort of internal political battle going on behind the scenes, and that needs to,
Well, right.
that's
It's
got
this
to be
idea,
addressed.
right? It's this idea that people have decided that they, because nobody wants, everybody thinks that they can get away with something. Shortcuts, I'm not going to do my job. I'm just here to collect a paycheck. I just want to wait till retirement, right? Oh, I'm civil service. You can't get rid of me. I'm sorry. You have a fucking job to do. You do your fucking job.
So I'd be curious for anybody who watches this segment. Have you seen this happen in your town? We've heard about this happening at the federal level um, in the past, but I'd be curious to see if anybody who works in town government, if you're aware of this type of situation. It's just backbiting. I'd like to just hear what your opinions are. We're going to follow this and see how the transition in our town goes, and also if this happens also in the town of Hudson, which is not too far from us, and we'll update you. Pay attention to your town. Don't let them pull this because you get affected and you're paying the freaking tax bills. All right, all right,
Hey, as I keep saying, Wallkill has become a very cautionary tale, right? The idea that
for a lot
if
of
the
reasons.
if the work isn't getting done and the employees aren't doing the work because of this political nonsense, it's going to cost you more money down the road. You think about it, it's going to cost you. Look at the town. The town wasn't doing the right thing in its accounting. Now all of a sudden, $1 million later, right? They have to spend all this money to fix the problem that they caused. Okay,
Yeah,
none of this would have been necessary if back in 2017 when I first brought this up, they had decided to take
yeah.
action instead of covering it up, hiding it, blaming others. It just became this bullshit game. And we're seeing it play out on the national level, on the state level, all these different levels of well, we're going to spend 3 times as much money to fix a problem,
Yeah.
right? That could be fixed with 1/3 of the problem if we just addressed it right at the beginning.
So there you have it. Keep an eye on what's happening in your community. We always tell you to do that. You want to be engaged, not just in federal government, not just in state government. You want to be engaged in what's happening right in your backyard, which is your local government, because shit happens. All right. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. Leave us a comment. Let us know what you think. And we will be back with another episode soon. Take care.